on the tropics. Latest from the National Hurricane Center beginning to come out as their 8 p.m. update and advisory continues to be issued. So our information at the top of your screen here has not updated as of yet, but this will come in over the next couple minutes, 10 to 15 minutes or so. But really not expecting much to change, really. Sustained winds anywhere from 25 to 30 miles per hour, upwards of 30 right now due to the National Hurricane Center's advisory. But nonetheless, this storm has just slowly worked its way inland here over the last couple of hours. Pretty much right over St. Johns County initially earlier this afternoon, almost right over St. Augustine. Then it moved over Clay County and now is making its way really just to the north of the Gainesville area. Brought plenty of rain and thunderstorm chances to areas just south of the metro. So we did have flood watches in effect for portions of Flagler County and Putnam counties down towards Gainesville, Marion County even as well. Those are all beginning to now expire as of 8 o'clock. And with regards to our tropical development chances, still nothing changing as of, from 2 o'clock to now. 40% chance over the next 48 hours and also within the next 7 days. So let's show you what some of the latest forecast spaghetti models are showing us here this evening. There's a couple a little bit further down to the southwest of us that are initializing at the wrong point. So we're pretty much going to throw this group of 3 or 4 out. This is right where the circulation actually is. And you'll notice most of them keep it generally right along the northern Gulf Coast. So pretty much riding along Florida's panhandle and then eventually over towards Mobile Bay, Biloxi, Mississippi, and then over towards New Orleans and the bayou there in southern Louisiana as well. So this is kind of the best case scenario for us. If it had taken much more of a southerly route, spent some more time over the open ocean of water, then we would be talking about a much better chance for tropical development. Is there still the possibility of, if it takes a little bit more of a track into at least the, near coast waters, could it strengthen? Yes, of course. I think a tropical depression is very possible, if not even likely. But a tropical storm at this time still appears to be quite unlikely. Most of these forecast models, although, it's showing you the track, we can look at the intensity of some of them. And I would say 75% of these keep it below tropical storm strength, that threshold. So not expecting tropical storm development from this system, but nonetheless, still going to bring a lot of rain, thunderstorms, not only our Gulf Coast here in northern Florida, but out across the panhandle. And as I said, really across the entire northern Gulf Coast here over about the next 2 days or so. So latest, the satellite and radar right now, you can almost see right where that swirl is. We'll take a closer look at it here in a second, but the vast majority of the thunderstorms continuing to now make their way offshore. So still some showers around out towards I-75 and the Gulf Coast, and even up across southeastern Georgia. A couple bands still making their way through the Okefenokee, northern Baker County towards Columbia, and similar story up into even Ware County and Clinch as well. But most of our rain chances, they're beginning to come down. So perhaps if you live in the Jacksonville metro area or downtown, wherever you may be, we've had some darker clouds rolling on in. We are not expecting really any rain to come from those storms. Perhaps just a real brief light shower or just a little bit of some fine mist for maybe, a couple minutes at best, and then it'll continue on its way. But here you can see exactly right where I'm talking about, where that circulation is over the last 30 minutes or so. So this is just to the west of Keystone Heights there, just to the north of the Gainesville area. So that's where that center of circulation is. That low pressure is currently set up. The dirtier side of the storm has moved now off to the west. We have some drier air back off to our east. So that's keeping things a little bit drier off to our east and northeast here through the rest of this evening and at least through the first half of your day tomorrow as well. But thanks to the rain, some of the breezy winds and conditions that we have seen through the majority of today, and just the overall cloud cover across the first coast has helped to keep our temperatures down a bit. We hit 89 degrees as our afternoon high in Jacksonville earlier today. Outside right now, most of us sitting in the mid to low 80s. You got 82 in Brunswick and St. Simons Island, 81 in Jacksonville. And then locations that are still seeing a little bit thicker of cloud cover, or at least have seen some more rainfall over the past 3 to 4 hours. Keene Point, Gainesville, great example of that. Palatka as well. Your temperatures mid to upper 70s here this evening. Whereas locations a little bit further off to the north and northwest who have not had nearly as much cloud cover or rain, temperatures a little bit warmer from Valdosta to Waycross up there. But here's the winds. So sustained winds and just the overall breeze today has been anywhere from about 10 to 15 miles per hour. And we're still seeing that out there right now. Wind gusts, though, have been pushing closer to 25, 28 miles per hour. So enough to, flap the flag on its pole a little bit out there. But this is not any more than what we were expecting. If you remember yesterday, or even over the past couple of days, Chief Meteorologist Lewis Turner, myself, and the rest of the First Coast News weather team here, we've been saying, 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts out at the beaches and along, the coastlines and things of that nature, but really not expecting the wind to be much of a factor. And clearly still isn't really tonight, even though that circulation is continuing to move on shore. So through the rest of tonight, here's 10:30. Winds still anywhere from about 10 to 15 miles per hour, so they'll taper off. They'll die down at least a little bit here over the next couple of hours and during the overnight period tonight. Then as you wake up tomorrow morning, you'll notice wind direction will have changed a little bit. We were generally out of the east and northeast for the majority of today. Tomorrow is going to be a little bit more of a southerly or southeasterly wind. So out over the water, certainly going to be a much breezier right up along the St. Johns River as well. So downtown areas, you get a little bit of a longer fetch coming northward along the St. Johns River. Could have some stronger wind gusts right along the north bank of the river walk out there tomorrow. But overall wind speeds themselves really not going to be that impressive. Southeast anywhere from about 10 to 15 miles per hour through the majority of the day. We could see a few isolated wind gusts upwards about 20 to 25 as you get into the afternoon and even evening hours. So here's 4 o'clock tomorrow. So yeah, a little bit breezy, but as I said, that whole system's going to continue to move away off to the west, and the winds really aren't going to be the story. It's going to be the rain and thunderstorm chances here yet again, right? We had some rain and thunderstorms across the Jacksonville area, at least a little bit tonight. Certainly not as much as we have seen the last several, but our southern counties, as we expected, did see sustained, rainfall continuing over, a couple hours of, duration. Tomorrow, a little bit of a different story. So first half of your day, you're going to stay dry. Then after lunchtime, really between that 2 and 8 p.m. window, going to be our best chance to see some rain and even a few strong to severe thunderstorms. Today's severe weather risk was pretty minimal. We really didn't have all that much with regards to instability that would allow, strong downdrafts or, micro bursts, those wind gusts to develop in some of those thunderstorms. That really wasn't the setup today. Tomorrow, a little bit of a different story. So here's 12 o'clock noon tomorrow. Still pretty dry out there. Of course, out towards the Gulf Coast, you're still going to continue to see decent amount of thunderstorm and rain activity closer to the center of that circulation. But as you get into the afternoon, so here's 3:30, even 4 o'clock tomorrow, we're going to have a few isolated showers and thunderstorms to begin to pop up around the area. But notice they're going to be moving much more in a southeast to northwest direction. Today, we had those bands pretty much just sweeping in from the northeast. Tomorrow, a little bit of a different story. So they're going to build in from the south and southeast right around dinner time, or even more specifically, that evening commute, 5, 6 o'clock. Roadways probably going to be a little bit messy in some locations. We will have some rain and thunderstorms out there. Roads are going to be wet. Take it a little bit slower if you can out there on the roadways. Certainly could impact the evening commute, and that's why we have issued the weather impact alert specifically for that reason, for a bit of a wet and tricky evening commute out there tomorrow night. After sunset, though, most of the convection and thunderstorm activity begins to wrap up. Things die down. The rest of your Wednesday night will be dry then after about 9 o'clock tomorrow. Thursday, kind of the same story. Winds still out of the southeast, 10 to 15 miles per hour, but although that whole system continues to move further and further away to the west, that doesn't mean we're not going to still have some pretty rain-laden air, so to speak. Still a very tropical-like air mass in place, not only at the surface, but in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere as well. So that's going to, one, keep things incredibly humid, but also going to keep those rain and thunderstorm chances around. So for the time being, we're going to keep it at a 60% coverage for rain and thunderstorms for your Thursday. Temperatures in the mid-90s. Don't be surprised, though, if we do end up issuing a weather impact alert for either Thursday or Friday, primarily due to the fact that we're still going to have plenty of moisture. I mean, deep tropical moisture, those dark greens, even some of the orange colors beginning to try to pop in here. So there's Friday evening. I mean, still a lot of moisture and energy in place across the First Coast specifically, which is why we are, anticipating still a pretty wet, soggy end to the work week here. Plenty of rain and thunderstorm chances through the end of the week. Friday, as I said, still looking rainy, feeling soupy, temperatures in the mid-90s. You factor in that humidity, whew, man, you're going to be sweating out there. Sweating bullets, so to speak. It is going to be feeling like 105, 106, 107 even by Friday and into the weekend. And we'll touch on that here in a second as well. But overall, rain chances staying very high over the next 3 days. As you look ahead then to the weekend, of course, that's what most people want to know, right? What's my weekend looking like? Is it going to get rained out? Is it going to be too hot to even go outside, right? Overall, rain chance is going to come down a little bit. We're talking isolated to scattered thunderstorms at best for both your Saturday and Sunday. There is going to be some slightly drier air that works in for both days here this upcoming weekend. So some drier air, it's going to limit the overall coverage for rain and thunderstorms and just your overall chances in general. You combine the drier air with a little bit of some higher pressure. So that's also going to try to tamp down some of the thunderstorms. That's not going to allow those storms to develop vertically as much. So some shallow isolated thunderstorms, or at least some shallow isolated downpours, will be possible on Saturday or Sunday. But most of us are not going to see that activity. So because of that, we're going to lower the rain chances at least a little bit for your upcoming weekend, which I think is probably good news for most folks out there. But the other really and perhaps even bigger story as you head into the weekend is certainly going to be the temperatures. So we only hit 89 today, low 90s tomorrow, and then we just continue to climb the steps of the ladder temperature-wise over the next couple of days. Mid-90s on Saturday and Sunday, 95 and 96 degrees respectively. As I had mentioned, you factor in the humidity. When dew points are 75, 76, 77, I mean, dew points in the mid to upper 70s, that is oppressive-like humidity, and that's going to put those real field temperatures and heat indices 105 to 106, 107 even through the end of the week, continuing into the weekend. And 108 here is really the magic number. So I currently have a 108 heat index forecasted on Sunday. We've had some isolated locations already hit that earlier this year, but we have not had really that real field temperature felt widespread across the First Coast. I think that is a possibility by Saturday and Sunday. When that occurs, the National Weather Service does have to end up putting out some heat advisories, and that's when we would be issuing weather impact alerts specifically for the heat and the dangerous just real field temperatures out there. So I do think that's a possibility by the time we do get to your Saturday and your Sunday. So key takeaways here, tropical wave Invest 93L continuing to move over the First Coast and over northern Florida right now. That will begin to move into the northern or northeastern Gulf really after, I would say, 11 o'clock tonight even. I mean, it's moving rather quickly. It's, picked up pace over the last couple of hours. So that will move into the northern Gulf. It will keep the tropical moisture here, but overall our winds will begin to come down at least a little bit overnight and into tomorrow. Will it still be breezy tomorrow? Yes, but not nearly as gusty. Wind gusts might only be about 20 miles per hour tomorrow. Areas closer to as I said, Mobile Bay, really, Biloxi, New Orleans have a much better chance to see some gustier winds and some heavier rainfall. The tropical depression or tropical storm development will become higher for those folks. Here on the First Coast, we are not anticipating anything. If something does develop, though, of course, we'll let you know. Next name on the list is Tropical Storm Dexter. So the D name is Dexter. That's the next one up on the National Hurricane Center's 2025 Atlantic Hurricane Season list of names. So big key takeaway there is it's going to move away, impacting folks further to our west. Our impacts begin to lessen, but the tropical moisture remains in place. So still lots of rain and thunderstorms for your Wednesday afternoon and evening, specifically impacting the evening commute. Thursday, Friday, still plenty of rain chances on the way there as well. Drier skies for the weekend, but